Knowing how much to pay for a home in a multiple offer situation is kind of like knowing when to take off your winter tires in Calgary. Am I right? As I scrolled through Reddit the other day, I came across multiple stories of buyers who were frustrated, competed many times, and were basically coming up with, it seemed like, no strategy. So if you are thinking of buying a home, you know you're going to probably walk into multiple offers depending on the price point that you're buying in, you're in the right place. And if you stick around to the end of the video, I have a secret strategy that we use on our team that I'm actually just going to share with you. So the first thing you need to understand is when you're in a multiple offer situation, you're in a seller's market. That means there are multiple buyers trying to buy and looking at the same property. So what do you have to do? You have to play their game. That is step number one here. You need to play their game. You need to look at how to reduce the seller's risk. And you can do this in multiple ways. And I know it doesn't seem fair. You're the one buying their house, but when you're in this type of market, you might not have a choice. And that can come down in three ways: through deposits, possessions, and conditions. So with deposits and conditions, we're going to get into that a little bit later, but I want to talk about possessions right now. What possessions are is when you are going to take the keys over and it is your home. Now, the seller may be in a certain situation where they've already bought something and they're selling this place. Maybe this was a rental and there's tenants in it, but there might be a specific date that the seller has in mind. So what you want to do, ask your agent to find out what is the best possession date for the seller. And even if it doesn't work for your time frame, you might have to just have that date. Over the last, let's say 6 months, we have had clients who have just taken the possession date that the seller wants. Maybe they figured out a rental, maybe they went and stayed with families, maybe they went and stayed in one of their own rentals that was vacant. They made it work because they needed to win this offer. This was the house. This is the one that they wanted to get. And as we continue through a market like we are seeing right now in Calgary, and as springtime happens, we're going to see multiple offers coming back a little bit more than what it is right today. So I want you to be prepared. Now, the next thing is price. So you have to figure out what to offer. Some sellers will actually choose a lesser price of an offer than another one because it has better conditions or no conditions, or maybe a better possession date. But price is really important. You could have 0 conditions, but if you're like $50,000 away from the top offer, I mean, they're not going to necessarily choose you. And the first step is you want to look at what other sales have happened in a short amount of time. I put the last week, but depending on the market, you could probably go back no more than a month. But the trick here is to look in communities, not just in the community that you're buying in. You have to kind of go wider and closer instead of further back time-wise and geographically tight. So you kind of are swapping this. You want to think like a buyer, like you. If I was buying a home here, where else would I consider? If you're looking at Mahogany, let's say, I would look at Mahogany, Auburn Bay, and I would look at all of those areas right around it and see what has sold in the last week or two and get a sense of that, because that is going to give you some real great data on what prices have sold for. And don't look at actives. Please do not look at active prices, because anyone can ask anything for their home. And prices are all over the map right now because some sellers are pricing really high and some are going low and trying to get multiple offers. So there's a lot of different strategies that are being tried right now. So don't look at actives, just look at sales. A big question that you want to ask is, if I woke up tomorrow, would I be disappointed if? So you want to ask yourself that question. Now, if it's like, if I'm willing to pay this much, if I woke up tomorrow and I found out that someone else paid this much, would I be disappointed? And that's a slippery slope. You know, maybe have this conversation with your agent, because you don't want to just like full on overpay for a property either. What is a real number that you are seeing in the marketplace, and figure out your budget too. Like if you're at the top, you might not have much room to move in your price, but play with those numbers, come up with something that you feel comfortable with. And honestly, I think one of the biggest tips that's not even in here is don't get attached to the house quite yet until the seller says, yep, I signed your offer. because emotionally, and those stories in Reddit that I was looking at this earlier in the video, a lot of people said that. They said, I got so emotionally attached to a home and then I lost it. And then I did it again and I lost it. And I did it again and I lost it. And then finally we got one. And so try your best to just say, this could really work, and offer the great best price that you possibly can. Now, the next tip is all about deposits and conditions. Oh, deposits. There are many buyers out there, and I think even agents, who are using this strategy. And this is a little bit of a rant for me, because I'm asking you as a buyer in Calgary and probably even across Canada, please do not use a deposit that's not delivered as a way to get out of an offer. So what I mean by this is you write an unconditional offer. This is like firm, it's sold, it's good to go. And you have, let's say, a $30,000, $50,000 deposit, a big deposit that's going to be put down, and you've got 3 business days to give it to them, for example. Well, all of a sudden 3 business days comes and goes and there's no deposit. And at the end of it, you're like, well, I didn't give my deposit, so I'm out. We'll see you later. Now, that's a problem. There's lawsuits that can happen. You are legally bound to give that deposit. Now, in a market that's increasing, some sellers, and probably most sellers, are going to say, well, that's really frustrating, but we had 5 other buyers that were super interested, so let's go back to them and see what happens. That's your saving grace as a buyer. But if there was 1 other buyer, 2 other buyers, and you were way higher, it can just really cause a problem. So don't use that, and don't write an offer if you're going to back out and just by not giving a deposit. It just tastes bad. It tastes bad. It's a poor taste in my mouth, and we see it all the time, and it's really, really frustrating. So if you're an agent in Calgary and you're watching this, please do not advise your clients to do this. It's just not a good way to do business. Now, the second point here is healthy deposit. All right. So what I mean by a healthy deposit is before the last 2 years, we were seeing deposits of anywhere from $5,000 to maybe $15,000 for your average house. And then as you got to $1 million or over, you'd probably see 30 to 40, 50,000, let's say, type deposits. Now, in multiple offer situations, it's a different story, because the seller wants to know that you're going to close on this transaction. So your deposit, when you give it up front, so let's say you put down a healthy deposit on a $700,000 house, $600,000 house, and you put $30,000 down, and let's say you do have a 4-day financing condition, for example. That deposit can be returned to you if you don't remove your conditions. Okay, so that deposit can be returned if you do not remove your conditions. Now, if you don't have conditions, that deposit that you give, if you can't close on possession date, that deposit stays with the seller. Okay, so what did I say before? We have to reduce the risk of the seller. And by doing this, having a healthy deposit, that is reducing the risk of the seller. Now, the other one on here is conditions. So here's a couple strategies that you can have. First one is a home inspector at showings. So home inspectors have been offering more and more in the last year. Let's say if you're like, oh, this is the house. Like, we've looked at other stuff, we've written, whatever, but this one came up and we really don't want to lose this one. Well, reach out. So what we have is we have a handful of home inspectors that we work with. They'll come to the showing with you in maybe your 15, 20, half hour. If you get an hour of a showing, whatever it is, they'll come, be there with you. They're not bringing tools. They're not like checking water levels in the walls. They're not doing anything like that. What they're doing is they're just visually looking as if they were a client and pointing out possible problems or signs or things, just to help you make a decision on, are you going to have a home inspection on this offer or not? The other one is ask the selling agent if they did a pre-listing inspection. And so this could be really, really handy, and this is happening more and more. And so that seller might be willing to, or should be willing anyways, I would assume, if they did the inspection before listing, that they would give that to you. So then you can look through it and be satisfied with looking at that, okay? And the last tip with conditions, sometimes you just can't get away of having conditions at all. So you want to have or need to have your financing, home inspection, maybe a condo doc condition, whatever those conditions are, try to shorten them up. Now, again, this is all just for multiple offers. If you're the only one writing an offer, don't do some of this stuff. Okay. And so by doing that and having short conditions, that is going to possibly help you. Now, some advanced moves. So when it comes time to actually writing the offer, and let's say it's, I don't know, noon or 1 p.m. in an afternoon, and offers are being looked at 6 p.m. that night. What I want you to do is to not show your cards too early. This is a massive mistake that a lot of agents do. What they do, and if you're an agent watching this, change your ways, okay? What we have found when we're on this side of multiple offers, there are many agents who just submit an offer, sometimes don't even call us to tell us that an offer is coming in, or even have conversations about the possession, the condition of the home, is there a home inspection report, or anything. Like, they don't do anything. They just email an offer in, and away you go. So if you're not showing your cards too early, you want to hold off on your offer. Tell your agent you're going to write, let them relay that to the listing agent. And you want to be putting the offer in probably only about an hour or so before presentation time, when the presenting is happening to the seller, because you want to know how many other offers are there. You want to know, or your agent shouldn't want to know, who are the other agents writing. Are these other agents known for just like aggressive offers, or are they kind of unknown agents that, you're like, I don't know how they're going to play it. So then you got to you want to strategize. It's a game, right? You got to know when to hold them, and you got to know. The other thing you want to do as an advanced play is thinking how to create win-wins. Now, this does go back to, again, making sure that you are putting the seller's needs first, which is crazy because you're the one buying and it's your money that you're putting up to buy it, but put them first. Create a win-win. Again, figure out those possessions, figure out the right conditions, if there are conditions, figure out all these things, but look for wins for you and for the seller when you're writing an offer, because you want them to choose you. That's the whole point of this, okay? And this last one goes back to the first point, but please do not just throw an offer in just to try. I know that sounds potentially ridiculous to some people, because you might have the mindset of, you never know, they might just pick mine. The problem with doing that is twofold. The first part is you're competing against yourself. You're not going to win this one, so you go and do it again. You go and do it again, you go and do it again, and you go and do it again. Now you're 5 offers, 6 offers deep in different homes, and every time you are just writing an offer, throwing it in, see if you can get it, or you're at your top price and you just go to this number, even though you know it's going to sell, or you're looking at the comparables and everything is selling up here. You're not going to win this way, because what you're doing is you're inflating the values, and now you're competing against yourself. So in 2 months' time, when you find the perfect house, because you've put in so many offers, you've inflated the value, because the person who won found out how many offers and pushed their price maybe 10 grand more than what they were thinking. And that happens every time. Well, all of a sudden there's a $50,000 increase or a $30,000 increase compared to the first one that you wrote. And now these values are increasing. So you're inflating the values. So don't just throw it in to try. Just write if you're going to win. Again, you're just fighting against yourself. And the second part is it can be really devastating. It can be really disappointing. It can be exhausting writing an offer after offer after offer and just never winning. So you need to change your strategy. You're going to burn yourself out by doing that, and you're going to get really tired of this market really quickly. So because you stuck around, I did say at the beginning I was going to have a hidden gem that I was going to show you, and this hidden gem is an escalation clause. All right. Now, there are mixed reviews on these things. Some sellers just hate them. Some sellers are totally open to them. Some sellers look at it and say, well, if you're willing to give a highest offer that you're willing to offer, why don't you just offer that anyways? But Regardless, this has been a tool that we have used and it has helped us in multiple offer situations. And here it is. All right. In the event of multiple offers, the buyer invites the seller to counter this offer at a price of blank, higher than the highest currently active offer, not to exceed blank dollars. The buyer will be provided with proof of the competing offer within 24 hours of acceptance of this contract, with the buyer's personal information redacted, and that would be of the other offer. Should this not be provided, the buyer may, at their sole discretion, terminate this contract upon written notice to the seller. So by having an offer or this clause in your offer, it can really help you. So again, talk to your agent that you're working with, have a lawyer review this, make sure that this works for you. This is kind of what was worked for us, all right? So I also know that in this market, there is a real temptation for you to want to go and buy a new build. So we shot a video a little bit ago that talks about why now is one of the worst times to buy a new build. So go check out that video and we will see you guys on the next video.